Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Health Coach Success Virtual Masterclass. My co-host Laura and I worked hard to pull together this special online event just for you. It's a 5-day mini course in which we interview the best and brightest health coach and marketing experts on the planet to try to understand how they've become such great coaches and entrepreneurs. Included in the 20-plus expert interviews are some names you might recognize. Primal Health Coach Institute founder Mark Sisson, celebrity nutrition expert and New York Times bestselling author J.J. Virgin, author, cardiologist, and staunch health coach advocate Dr. William Davis, Michelle Liotta of Health Coach Power Community, Michelle Norris, CEO of Paleo FX and ID Life Nutrition, and many, many more. The Health Coach Success Virtual Masterclass is now available and totally free for a limited time. Check it out at primalhealthcoach.com/success. Today on the show, we're welcoming Julie Raich Dieme. Julie is a business coach that works with health, fitness, and nutrition coaches, and we know we've had a lot of these on the show already, but get this. Julie's area of expertise is in helping coaches build out their online programs. Whether you work one-on-one or in groups, whether you coach nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, or some blend of the three, building out your coaching program in a digital course format so that you can effortlessly scale your business will save you time, money, and headaches. It takes some strategizing and some mild to moderate technical know-how, and Julie helps to teach that. She's a highly experienced digital course strategist and teacher of 20 plus years. She's also a languages nerd, fluent in 4, and an avid world traveler, wife, and mom. Julie guides health and wellness professionals in their quest to scale to 6 or 7 figures with digital courses and programs so they can make an even bigger impact with their work and actually enjoy the freedom lifestyle they've set out to create. She also teaches online Spanish and directs a large language lab for Humboldt State University in California, where she lives with her husband, Joseph, and their son, Gabriel. All right, listen up and get excited about building out your online course. Remember, the show notes for this episode and all previous episodes of Health Coach Radio can always be found at primalhealthcoach.com/radio. Please welcome Julie Raich Dieme. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Erin.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm excited because we're going to talk about something today that I want every single health, nutrition, and fitness coach to listen to carefully.
Yes.
And it's something that's very exciting to me because I'm a technology dork. I love technology. And I think, well, we'll find out, but a lot of health, fitness, nutrition coaches are very analog. We tend to be pretty analog little practitioners, like, oh, I work with people. I work in a gym. I work in an office. It's like, we're going to explore this idea of digital courses because that's your area of expertise. So why don't you kick us off by telling us about you, how you got to where you are and how you became the digital course expert that you are today.
All right. Well, gosh, it's a long story because I have actually worked with teaching for over 20 years. I started teaching before I was even out of high school. But fast forward a few decades and I found myself in a master's degree program and wanting to learn more about technology and how I could use it because it just seemed really cutting edge. And even in the jobs that I'd had right after college as a personal banker and in sales, they were using a lot of digital courses. And so it was just really fascinating to me. Fast forward another few years, and as a working professional, I was loving what I was doing, but not loving the ups and downs of not knowing if I was going to have a course to teach or not have a course to teach through the university where I was at. And so in kind of one of those burnout moments, I was like, I'm just not loving this. I want to be with my family. I want to be at home with my son. I want to be able to have more freedom like I thought I would have. And not just because somebody told me that I didn't have a job. So I started to look into what I could do to bring my expertise online. and coaching in this capacity sounded like a really good option. So I still work for the university. I teach and I manage like huge labs. One of the most awesome things that I do is that I get to work with people at scale. I don't teach a class that's less than 25 people, and I do labs that are larger than 200 people. So it really has allowed me to continue to grow my skill set, get paid, have health insurance, but also be able to help make an impact with the entrepreneurs and health coaches that I work with.
Okay. I just want to clarify, what do you teach at the school? And like, what is your area of expertise?
Yeah, so my area of expertise, I have a master's degree in applied linguistics, which is awesome because, and I don't know, probably you don't know this because you're in the health coaching industry, but like in the language industry, we say that language teaching is like teaching everything basically. So when you can teach language, like then you're already like more than halfway there teaching any subject. So it's super applicable to anything.
It is. I actually often refer to health coaching, not health coaching, but health transformation as like learning a new language, like becoming fluent in a new language. So lots of parallels there. Very cool.
Yes.
100%. And we talk about the power of language and linguistics and coaching, period, right? And just how you frame something. And a lot of times it's not what you say, but how you say it. And I would imagine that probably translate even to digital courses, but I'm really curious as to how you might kind of solve for that in a digital course. And, so I'm the admissions director for a little program here. And one of the top five questions that I get with every call is, all this sounds awesome, but how am I actually going to be able to earn a living? And, they're already thinking about scaling, but they're thinking about it in terms, because people know there's only one of me. I only have so much time to do one-on-one coaching. And this is where we talk about, this is an evolution. You've got to get out, you got to learn how to coach, you got to learn how to, and then from there you grow this base. And this digital course concept is a great way to extend yourself, right? And take your program on a larger path. So I'm just really excited to hear more about what you teach others how to do and where some of this linguistics plays in that. Do you have some thoughts?
Right. So it's really interesting. And I love how you're like painting that big picture, like, oh, so well, because a lot of people do get into health coaching or coaching in general. And if they're an expert in their field, they're getting people results right off the bat. And word of mouth traffic leads to growing your business pretty quickly. But then there's only one of you. So the time for money trade starts to make less sense. Also, if you're somebody who's highly active or, competitive or whatever, what it's like to have been injured or to, have something like that that's like an external factor come into your business and like, risk your income. And so either you want to play it safe or you want to get smart about running your business so that you can scale it in a way that's not just all centered on you and you showing up to train or coach somebody. So what I see a lot of people doing is going out and getting like the next certificate or the next certification, the next training, the next whatever. But as an expert in your field, it's possible to go deeper and to start delegating those things that are on your plate, not only to like other people that could help you in the business, but to like a digital course. And you can do that as a solopreneur. The linguistics aspect of what I do is it's kind of multifold, but it's also very nuanced. So when I work with coaches and trainers, then one of the big things that I do is I help them take their expertise and get it into like an offer or a package, right? That is the digital course. From there, we take it and we scale out the business by creating that lucrative pillar in the business. And if it's a person who has been running their business fairly intuitively, just booking their sessions on a calendar and like, taking payments like, in cash or check, there's a lot of work to be done. And with the digital course, we can actually benefit the health of the whole business by helping them to learn about that in terms of the digital course, but then applying those concepts to the bigger business.
Oh, okay.
And then of course, whenever you're teaching anything and you're not fully like there in front of the person, you have to account for lots of details. So instruction
Yes.
sets have to be super clear. Directives have to be clear, goal setting, goal completion, goal tracking. It's all very clear when you're working with somebody because you're practically doing it for them. But now you're having to teach somebody else how to do what you do, but in like this super tiny nutshell that is like just so delicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my expertise will go back and take what you do in person and help you to translate that into something that can be taught online without you even having to be there. Like I literally like teach 25 people at a time in my classes, and they go from not knowing how to say like more than hola to like having basic conversations in just a few weeks. And we never even meet in person.
Huh. Wow. So it's really a total package approach because you're helping the coaches craft the offer, and then you're building the course to sort of speak to that offer, and then also dialing in the nuance of the actual instructional component. This I actually wasn't expecting all of that. Truthfully, I thought we were going to talk about like digital online course platforms, but you're absolutely right that it all has to unpack from your expertise and what you teach people and how you teach them. And so one thing that I try to educate new coaches on is this idea of creating a product. And I use that word product, and it's a little bit of a weird concept, but it's kind of like, I guess, what you would call the offer. Like, this is the product that I've created. This is what I do for people. And then what you do is you take that, flesh it out, and build the course off of that. Is that correct? Is that the starting place?
Pretty much. And it could be a digital course, it could be a program. It kind of depends on where the business is at and what the business's goals are, because there are coaches that are like, I wouldn't touch technology with like a 10-foot pole because I just don't believe in that method, right?
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we couldn't work together. My expertise lies in the scaling component. I do that best with digital courses and programs because it's the educational piece. I've even toyed with changing my title just slightly, but I'm not a certified business coach and I don't want to offer something that I'm not. So strategy is really where it's at.
I don't think there is a certification for that. I think you could just call yourself a business coach. That'd be okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for the endorsement.
Well, we talk to coaches all the time. There's no regulation. I think you should call yourself based on what you do and what you deliver on. Yeah. So that's just a little side note there.
Yeah.
So we talk about this all the time as far as you are 100% right. When we see coaches who aren't as successful as they want to be, thinking that success is going to be around the corner by taking some other course, when in reality, they just need to get better at what they're doing, actually get out there and execute on everything that they've learned so far, taking that expertise and producing something valuable, and get out there and make an offer, right? Whether it's a program, but unless you're out there offering to help people, they don't know you're there. Is that something that you touch on too, as to how to get out there and be visible, and how to get out there and make an offer to somebody and being able to express what it is you're delivering and what it does for them, what problem it solves?
It totally is, because one of the big problems that successful coaches have is going from, where they are with the word of mouth traffic and the visibility that they have, to expanding that so that they're attracting new clients and new audiences. It's really easy to go out and just be successful in your community because you're there. You can drum up business, you can go door to door, you can, partner with different places, get referrals, start networking. But then when you want to take it bigger, or when you're encountering people in your audience, or I don't know how you want to call it, because it's not really audience, but like say in your niche, right? The people that you're serving, they're the busy moms or the busy dads or the people that are the working professionals that are super stressed out. They need you the most. Well, they also don't have the time availability that you have, because if you're trying to work and you have a family, like, your availability is shot, right? You're not going to meet them at 8:00 at night or at 3 in the morning. I mean, maybe you are, but why should you be getting up at 3 in the morning if you don't actually have to? Like, you could work smarter, not harder with a digital course.
Yeah. So when you take on clients, where do you start with them? What's the first thing you take them through?
That's a great question.
I really just meet the client where they are with the business, because it is so different. It is so different for every business, because some people might have aspects of the visibility piece covered, but maybe they have kind of a mess on their back end. Maybe they don't have enough support. Maybe it's just them running their show, and we need to figure out how we can bring in more people, what's like a hiring process, right? Or delegation of certain tasks. Maybe it's creating systems in the business to help them work more efficiently, right? Because if you're using like 90% of your time in your business to be in front of a client, well, some of that's going to have to shift a little bit when you are scaling, at least in the process, right? So we figure out the smartest way so that we can preserve the income, but then also create the highest return on investment possible.
Well, I want to jump on that a little bit, because I love the idea of scaling. It's important. We have to think about scaling. Any entrepreneur, I think, needs to think about scaling. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. But I'm a proponent of the one-on-one high ticket coaching model. I don't know. I'm set in my ways. What can I say? But a few years ago, I took that into a digital course. So it's one-on-one, but it's still a digital course. And I kind of want to just bring that forward for even people who aren't yet ready to scale. Building a digital course should still be like a front burner project as far as I'm concerned. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. Because not only is it going to give you the additional income, but then it's going to cycle people back. So when I say working smarter, not harder, it's not that the digital course is going to replace the coaching. I mean, for some people it might, because maybe they can't afford your high ticket offer, but maybe that's also the foot in the door, or maybe that's the maintenance component. There are so many ways that digital courses can serve a client that, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, you could create a course for almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There literally is a course, I think, for almost everything.
Yeah.
Well, and from the standpoint, this is kind of just a little sidebar. I did the same thing. I took all my educational content that I used to deliver in person, and I put it up into a digital course that, now that it's out, there's some things I want to change and refine. But, I live in a state where I have to be very careful legally about how I present materials. I can't be seen as giving individualized nutrition advice or any of these things. So I have all my educational materials up on this digital course, and every one-on-one client I get, that's how content is delivered to them. It's so that I can never be accused of giving something out that's like prescriptive and individual to that person. And then my coaching calls are actually about coaching rather than education, right? They learn something through the digital platform, then we have a discussion about questions and how this, and they're asking questions and they're thinking through and brainstorming about how what they just learned applies to them. And we can have a coaching conversation around it. It's just so much more, it's just a better use of time, and it also protects me legally as the coach. So for all you coaches out there listening, that's another very valid reason to consider getting what it is you teach in your program up digitally and online, because it can be repurposed a lot of ways.
I would agree with that. And one of the ways that we refer to this in academia is called flipping the script. But when you flip the script and you put the responsibility into the lap of the client, it actually empowers them to get the solution and to get the result that they actually need. Because have you ever had a client come to you that really just, they seemed like they were taking the action steps, but they weren't really wanting the result? Like, they weren't really wanting it deeply enough. And I think it happens to all of us. And that's why people come to us, because they need the accountability piece. They need the mindset piece. They need that extra assistance. They need to get over that hurdle, right? That is actually the most urgent piece that they need. And then the education piece, that's the support and the thing that comes secondary.
Right.
Sometimes it walks hand in hand, but when we empower the client to get the result, then it changes our job into like that higher level, high ticket, like what they would really be paying the big bucks for.
Yeah, and the stuff that we want to do. But I think you both touched on something important, and I would actually take that and expand it to say that what delivering the educational pieces in an online course encourages self self-efficacy and self-accountability in the client. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, Sally, I'm going to need you to go back into the course and reread this chapter because that's what we're going to talk about on our next coaching call. Can you do that for me? Because that's really important. So the coach spends less time on the phone educating, teaching, which we're good at, but there's a lot of power in putting that accountability back into the client's hands. In fact, I think that I've started to argue this idea that that our clients are accountable to us. I don't think that makes sense because they're going to graduate from our care, and then what, right? They have to learn how to be accountable to themselves. And so if the education lives in a platform that they have to go in and actually set aside the time to do that work, they're going to learn to hold themselves accountable to their own lifestyle change.
For sure.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. So, and another thing I wanted to just circle back on that you mentioned was, because when I mentioned that Laura and I both, we put our, and maybe Laura, you've done this too, but we've put our main coaching program into digital platforms. Maybe we'll talk about different kinds of platforms later. I don't know if that's something you want to dive into, but I built it out into a digital platform and I enroll my one-on-one clients into it. And then what I was also able to do was just duplicate that exact course and sell it as an uncoached program. So this is another revenue stream now. People who are like, well, I just want to see what you're all about, but I don't really want to invest in a coaching program. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I have this self-guided version. So you can just enroll in my course and do the learning yourself. And it's just been honestly a bizarrely nice little extra bit of revenue that is actually zero work because the work is done. So do you coach clients into those kinds of things too?
Totally. A lot of times when people come to me, they say, I've gotten results with, whatever it is my specialty, whether it's like, the nutrition piece or like the fitness piece or some combination. And, they usually have a good idea of who their ideal client is. So we take that nugget of expertise and we can get you into like a passive product, like super quickly. We can start to grow that. And then at the same time, work around the business pieces as well as growing your offer into something that's maybe a more high ticket or a middle of the road offer to round out that product suite so that you're always having something that meets the need of the client.
Because one of the personal hangups I have about the self-guided product is like, that wasn't the spirit in which I built it. Like I built it to be like, I want to be with clients. I want to be there to answer their questions. So I struggled a little bit with that passive piece. And I guess I'm just looking for like some post-rationalization that this was actually a good idea and it's not actually diluting my product or cannibalizing maybe coaching sales.
I think you cannot dilute a product. You can't dilute what you do. And in fact, I actually firmly believe that by creating these products, we are opening ourselves up to work with more like truly ideal clients. Because the person that buys the digital course, if you love to work with people in person, and that's like what you thrive off of, like personally, that's where you get your fulfillment, then that's great. They're getting what they need. They're getting your expertise in the package that they need it. But then you are able to focus your attention and get your fulfillment as well as like focus on the people that need you the most in person. So it actually is like a win-win situation. Everybody's getting what they need. You're able to help the people that need you the most, that you need to work with the most, and everybody else is getting, and you're getting paid to like help people that are needing your services, but in a different way.
Yes. Totally. I hear you. I think you're absolutely right. And there's something I want to circle back on that you just said, before you were answering her question about how you take this nugget of expertise. We see far too many coaches who suffer from this fear that they don't know enough, right? And that they somehow have to become an expert in everything because what if I hurt somebody? All right. First of all, you're not going to hurt somebody, right? You're not prescribing anything. You're not doing surgery, right? Come on now, right? So, but you have this, to your point, this nugget of expertise, this area that you just know so well that you can turn around and expand on and continue to grow your own expertise there and build something really amazing out of it. Can you speak to that a little bit as far as when coaches are coming to you, are you dealing with that, like this confidence issue and how to help them really kind of drill down into what they do know and what they have confidence in and build something amazing out of that?
Usually a thriving health and wellness business has enough confidence around what they do and how they get the results,
Okay.
So it's not so much building the confidence, but it's narrowing down that
Ah.
confidence, because I get a lot of coaches that are like, I help people in all these ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a niche. I want to still be this expert around health or wellness or coaching or whatever. I can deal with anything. They have the confidence that says, I can deal with anything that my client throws at me.
Right.
Which is so true, because that's what you were trained in. And actually, that's part of the adventure. And that's why you love what you do, because every new client is that new challenge and you're trying to get them results. And even if you offer a service or like a coaching package that is fairly narrow in scope, for example, like primal eating paired with XYZ exercise, right? It's fairly narrow in scope. Like you take that out to the marketplace and it's considered very niche. But there's still a lot of things that you can have happen, different like nuances about the clients that you work with, et cetera. Maybe it's like women or men or like a certain background, maybe injuries are involved, maybe not. So it's really the confidence to narrow it down enough in focus for the course so that you can have that area where you're like, and I specialize in this. But then at that point, it also makes sense to make another course and another course and another course, like based on the other areas that you specialize into. So when you're having a digital course be added to your product suite, you want to make it narrow enough and focused that you can sell it to a lot of people as that very, very specific solution to that very, very specific problem. Because it will like literally be calling people like out of the internet, like just to like take your course.
Interesting. You got my wheels turning.
Yeah. And so interestingly, I follow a group of guys called Mind Pump. Aaron, I don't know if you listen to their podcast, but a group of guys, and their podcast is relatively general, but it's all about health and fitness. But from a program perspective, they sell these digital programs, and those, while they have a whole bunch of them, each individual program is very specific. MAPS anabolic, MAPS performance, right? They just launched a powerlifting one. So the more specific it is, the more you're drawn to, ooh, I want to take that one. Ooh, I want to, so I love that idea. And what I would, I guess, kind of try to drill home for new coaches is start out with one, right? Get it out there, make it amazing, focus on it, sell it. And then from there, you can continue to expand into some of these other areas of expertise. Because we do get new coaches say that too, not just experienced coaches. I can help everybody. New coaches are, I want to help everybody. And that's
right.
Insecurity.
Right. And that's awesome. I think that's what's going to be the impact, right?
Yeah.
In this industry. And that's why it is like a multi-million-dollar industry, is that everybody is concerned about their health and everybody wants to have optimal health. It's just a matter of figuring out what to do to achieve that optimal health, right? Yeah, no, I think that's great. And then, one of the other things, to go back to the question about like, where do you start? It's like, if somebody has a thriving program, it's figuring out what aspect of that program got the quickest results or the best results, or the results that people come to you for. Because if you are a thriving health and wellness professional, you are building a reputation around your ability to get results, right? And so that's going to be the thing that maybe draws people in. And then they're going to find out that you also know about, performance or nutrition or all these different other things that could be, part of your tool chest, basically, how you get those results.
But, even let's say you're just a health coach, right? Even within, like, you don't have a fitness credential, you don't have a whatever, you just, even within the area of expertise, there's sub topics. So for example, like Laura said, build something, get it out there, work it with some clients, troubleshoot it, perfect it. And also in that time, you'll probably be fleshing it out. Like, so for example, you might have a health coaching program that has a food piece, a movement piece, a lifestyle piece, a mindset piece. That might be your whole program. Someday those could become the food program, the movement program, the lifestyle program, the mindset program. You could like batch it out. And then you have this suite of programs. And I bet you to, it's sort of like the Mind Pump guys. It's like to the consumer, it's like, wow, these guys are good at a lot of things. Like, oh, I can't wait to dive into all of these. And I think that's something I'd never considered before. You know, it's like I've got my program and it contains all these different moving parts, but each of those could become its own course.
Right.
And then I've
Exactly.
just basically 5X'd my whole business just by breaking that out into 5 different courses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing is that, like, especially if you are selling individually to people, then you can help to figure out what they need to get started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we've all had those sales calls where there's people that just want to dive right in with you and they're signing up for the whole program. But then there's other people who are a little bit more shy, or they feel like they only need one piece or 2 pieces of it.
Yeah.
So you can create your own package. If your program is in these components, you could literally create a custom program for them, charge the high-end prices that you want, and then have all of the information ready to go. All you have to do is create the customer or client portal, and there you go.
You said, all you have to do is create a customer portal. And lots of health coaches' heads just popped off like,
Right.
what?
They're going to be like, I don't even know what that means. Yeah. So can you speak to some of that technology? And because there's got to be places, coaches that have very little technological expertise can go and make it relatively easy, I'm hoping.
Oh yeah. And when I say, like, this is where I meet people, you know, when we get started, I meet people where they are. It's technology too, and it's everything. So if somebody is like, I can email, I can do internet searches, and I can Facebook, well, great. That's a whole skill set all together, and we can, like, work with that. The cool thing about technology today is that it's the more you look at it, the more it's like one thing piggybacks off of another. So if you can email and you can, like, or you could create a PowerPoint or whatever, it's like, I can get you to do technology. I actually, you know, in some of my classes, I teach people in Spanish how to do, like, multimedia presentations in, like, less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, it's like, you just break down the steps of what you need to do. You get the training, you focus on what you actually need to do. Don't, you know, block out the rest of the things and just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know all the technology to create a digital course. In fact, you can go with a very, very simple setup that doesn't cost very much. And I love doing that, especially at first, if you're just doing, like, a first rendition of the course, because you never want to invest in something that isn't going to get that return on investment.
Yeah.
And you also never want to invest in something that you're not sure is going to work in the digital format. So I always say, focus on the education piece and the getting the results piece first, and then go the extra mile to, like, really invest in the systems and structures.
Mm-hmm. I love what you pointed out there. It's like, look, if you can make a PowerPoint presentation, you can actually probably build a website, because it's like it's a WYSIWYG editor. You're putting images and text on screen. You can do that. If you can write an email, you can probably set up an email sequence in MailChimp. Like, we actually have baseline skills that translate very readily into these scary technology platforms. And I always tell people this, like, the technology is so easy. It's bone simple. These tools are designed, in my opinion, for entrepreneurs who aren't techies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're designed to be super simple, and you already have, you know, if you can Facebook, email, and make a PowerPoint presentation, you have the skills to do a lot more than you think you do.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. So we just extract all the things that you do know, and we make them work in the way that you want them to work.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite technology, like, platforms that you use with people?
Well, when I teach for the university, we don't have a budget at all. They do have, like, a learning management system. And when I tell people that I love just using Google Product Suite to, like, develop everything, they kind of laugh, because they're like, that's not professional enough. And I'm like, really? Because I want to focus on results. And so if somebody can, like, write a Word document, then the transition from, like, you know, Word to, like, Google Docs, it's really, really easy. The focus is on the client. It's on getting the results. It's not about the technology. at least for the majority of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love being really simple. I love also being really intentional. So if there is a way that I want to deliver the course that requires a certain technology, maybe I want to make sure that accountability is like a priority, right, for my client. And so I want to get them their stuff to their like inbox, for example. Well, you can create a digital course in an email system.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally possible. And it's actually a really great medium. I see a lot of health professionals going out there and like creating apps, because to have the app on the phone is invaluable for the client. They have it everywhere they go. They have their accountability piece, they have the tracking piece, they get their mindset, their motivation, whatever it is, right to their phone. Well, guess what? An app is just like a digital course. Like if you have a strong educational piece like underneath that app, then anything can happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your app could be the portal to your course or to your program or to your whatever it is that you're working on with the client. So I love technology. I don't fully endorse any one platform. I think that, you know, if you have a website and you have a budget and that's all you have, you can't spare another dime, like let's figure out if the digital course works first. Let's get somebody results, and then we'll find the right platform for you, or we'll start researching the platforms as we go. The technology is always the vehicle for how you're going to get the result. It's not the coaching. It can't replace the coach. So while it can assist the coach in getting better results for the client, or assist the client in staying in contact or being more accountable or doing the work in a certain way, I think it's important to super like focus on the results first.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find the right technology to go with it. It can be super simple. It can also be like, you know, a Kajabi or a Teachable or whatever, but I'm totally like in favor of intellectual property rights and not putting that on somebody else's platform that I may or may not be able to migrate once I actually like scale beyond however many members is that their free version of what they do.
Good point. Good point.
So
that's great.
Simple.
I love that you name dropped the G Suite, the Google Suite. Honestly, like there's a freaking robust set of tools that is universal to everybody. Everybody knows pretty much. I'm saying everybody, you know, most people are familiar with them, have used the Google Suite. And you could honestly build out your entire practice using the Google Suite, and it's not going to probably go away. It's really unlikely the Google Suite's going to go away. You know, I wish I had started my business now, because I would have started everything in Google. And because everything else, I dabbled in all the technologies. And actually, I also love that you kind of brought up apps, because I feel like that's a question that coaches ask a lot. Like, hey guys, what app are you using to track your client progress? What app are you using to communicate with your clients? What app? And there's a lot of apps out there. Like we've looked at a lot of them to see if they were good, and they're kind of good and they're kind of robust, but they're not totally perfect for. I've never seen one that's totally perfect for what I need, or for what Laura needs, or for what Sally needs, or for what Bob needs. Like they're just okay. And so with the Google Suite, are starting really, to your point, with the integrity of the product in mind, rather than the technology, like thinking product first, not technology first, is extremely important. So you coaches, like just keep it simple, build the product, think about the way your information needs to be delivered, and worry less about apps and technology. It's not why people hire you.
Right. And they're there to like get the results. So
yeah. And
focused on that.
I love that you said you can deliver your entire course via email. That was the first way I did it before I ever entered into a platform. Everything was done. I just shot these little videos and I had these little handouts, and I did everything in a pre-scheduled email where everything was via email, and they just clicked the link and it took them to YouTube where my video sat, right? Or it had the handout attached to it. Because just very low tech, and it was super easy. And I don't know if people know, but I'm sure you do, like Gmail now you have the ability to schedule emails to go out at a later date.
Yes.
Having to do it all manually now.
Is there automations?
Yeah.
They have
I forget what it's called. It's Boomerang. I think, is it Boomerang that?
There is Boomerang. There's lots of other extensions too.
Yeah.
It's so funny you brought that up. I was just researching a number of extensions just yesterday. but yeah, there's so many different things that you can add to your G Suite that,
Mm-hmm.
you maybe don't even need like some big, management software. But the thing that would, make it easier to move into something like that is knowing like, this is how I want to work with the client. We've done it a couple times. These are the functions that I can't find in G Suite.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why I need this thing. And at that point, if there's something that doesn't exist on the market, then maybe you're looking at product development or like app development, or,
Mm-hmm.
you want to work with a web developer, right? But chances are, if you're wanting to move in this direction, then somebody else is going to too. So, I mean, if that's interesting to you, you can then open up. Like this is the basis for so many businesses that I see out there. Like I see these like yoga course online app type like websites, and they're like, oh, it's a learning management system for yogis. And it's like, well, yeah, somebody got frustrated. They taught yoga. This didn't really work for them. The scheduling component of this one very famous software that I won't mention, it was like working kind of, but then you went to like do the shopping cart thing and everything got confusing. And then, so that's how innovation happens.
Right.
And there's so much room for innovation, especially when it comes to, all the different coaching types that we have out there and like the different ways that we work with our clients. So the sky's the limit, really.
Gosh.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just Googled, and in Gmail, you can create automation sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying $30 US a month to MailChimp for that.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm telling you guys, Google can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
It can. And some of the services are paid. They're not all free. I will just put that out there because
right.
in case everybody's like, oh, I'm going to drop my MailChimp like right this second.
Yes.
But yeah, it's true. Automations are key. And when you are scaling your business, you're going to want to start paying attention to those kinds of things versus just sending out your blanket email broadcast.
And, just to kind of leapfrog back, it's like all this technology that you can buy into. So like you sort of mentioned learning management systems, which for those who don't know what that string of words means, it's basically an online course platform like Kajabi or Teachable or Thinkific or whatever else. There's millions of them. The one that I bought into, again, another thing I'm paying for, doesn't have email sequences. It's like, oh, I gotta email my students through MailChimp. It's like, I wish I'd known that before I paid for MailChimp, I paid for this learning management system. I just leapt into technology before I actually did my research of what I needed my program to do. So put that cart right before the horse, you guys. Don't be like me.
Well, I think, even though it's kind of like, I feel like I shot myself in the foot with this one, there is a positive side to it. And just to be like the Pollyanna here for a moment, it's like, now like these are the things that I would want to research. And like, this is what I do with my coaching. It's like, I will help you to make sure that your needs 100% meet up with the technology that you want to dive in with. And if it doesn't, then what does that look like? Because, I work with systems all the time that don't integrate. Like at the university, for example, the learning management system has an email thing, but it totally sucks. I mean, I can't tell if somebody clicks on something opens or whatever. So like I'm managing like anywhere like from 300 students plus, and I don't know if they open the emails. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. But there's workarounds. You can find different workarounds that are going to meet your needs in the interim. And then next time when you are, your contract's up with that company, like, exactly what you're looking for. It helps you to find that better next step. So it doesn't have to be perfect is what I'm trying to say. You can actually take imperfect action, still be making money, still lead a fulfilled, coaching business, lifestyle, whatever it is. And none of these little details are going to get in the way.
I always tell my clients that the key to success is many failures. So I'm just failing and learning. And just my final little technology spiel before we can change the subject is I think when coaches are getting excited about embarking on technology and they're researching, hopefully they're researching. And because I did this too, I'm like, oh, this learning management system integrates with MailChimp. Great. Well, it doesn't. It integrates through a Zapier, which I'm not smart enough to figure out. So double check that that integration is really a thing. That's all.
I back that up 100% because I've also I've also fallen down that slippery slope, and I have found myself being at the mercy of Zapier, which you never want to be there.
No.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sure we've got a bunch of people listening that are like, oh my God, this sounds so complicated and overwhelming. And the good news is we have folks like you, Julie, that can actually coach people through and walk people through how to do this in a way that you're not pulling your hair out, you're not spending a bunch of extra money, you're not putting the cart before the horse, you're actually doing this in the right order. So thank you for doing what you do. And then I guess maybe it's a big ask, and so let me know, but would you mind sharing with us maybe like the first 3 to 5 things a coach needs to think about when it comes to trying to build something like this? What do they need to think through first, and then second, and so on?
Yeah, well, like I said before, I think it really depends on like how you've developed your business to this point. But if you're kind of like the typical coach who comes in and you have gotten results with what you do, and you have built up a name brand around, whatever it is that result is, and you're getting word of mouth traffic, the next piece to really focus on seems to be the business piece, right? So the first thing that I do when I meet with my clients is we have a business assessment tool. We take a look at the business where it is. We take a look at our goals, whether they're income goals, money goals, like mindset goals around that, marketing goals. We take a look at all of the systems that are going to get you sold. If you do have a digital course, by the way, we also take a look at the system that you have set up for that, and we make sure that it's running optimally. So they're like basically 3 mini audits that we do when we get together and we start working together. So we look at your sales, we look at your marketing, we look at the educational piece. We also look at the mindset piece, because so often we are our own worst enemy and we don't even realize it. So if there's anything there, we start to work on it, strengthen it, discard myths. The next piece that we do is we pick an area of priority and we start working on that. Okay, so if you don't have the digital course, maybe it's the digital course, but it might even be a step back from that, because maybe you need to validate the digital course with your online students. Maybe you need to focus on lead generation. So we pick a system that we're going to focus on and we get that running. We create a way for you to easily step into that new thing that you're going to be adding to your business. And then we get it running optimally. Okay, once that feels like it's working well, we'll start adding on things, but we don't want it to be overwhelming. So we take it one step at a time, very gradually, to build out the business so that it's stable. Now, there are a number of things that we're going to integrate over the time that we work together so that we can build out your business. But as long as we have a marketing system, a way of making the sales, a way of reaching the audience, it doesn't have to be perfect to make you money, and it doesn't have to be perfect to start the scaling process. There are certain things, though, that make it easier, right? If you have an audience of 1, selling the digital course to that 1 person, well, that's 1 sale. Right? But maybe we are going to need to figure out like how to get you connecting with leads, et cetera, et cetera. So there's different methods out there, and depending on your comfort zone, we always work within your comfort zone to make that happen. I know a lot of people are scared of being on video, or they, are just 1 person, and so they're scared that they don't have enough bandwidth to go out and do some kind of like a direct marketing thing. So we create systems or ways of marketing your business that are going to work for it. Truth be told, one of the best digital courses that I ever sold, and it was actually one of the first digital courses. It wasn't fully digital, by the way. It was like a combination hybrid course, but within, I think, 2 weeks, I sold it out. And the way that I did that was through guerrilla marketing, local marketing. I literally like had posters, flyers. I took them around to the local community. I put them up on billboards, and then it felt really scary at the time, I splurged on radio ads.
Mm.
Local station, NPR based, really like right up my demographics alley. And I was so scared. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make this like $200 back. Best $200 I ever spent. Sold out the program, paid for my travel to go to an international conference when I was already working like 5 jobs and consulting on the side, and I didn't have any extra cash.
Wow.
Awesome.
So it was awesome.
Yes, that's a great success story. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it can be that easy. It doesn't have to be, I have to get like a marketing team, or I have to pay big bucks to some like agency that's going to represent me. I don't have to buy Facebook ads necessarily. Like there's a time and a place for all of those strategies, but with an expert like me, we can figure out which strategies you need first, and we can make it easy.
Woo.
So some really, really important things I heard for brand new coaches that are listening to this, or aspiring coaches. The first step before you reach out to somebody like Julie is you've got to get results. You've got to get out and get a client and work with that client, and then work with another client and get some results, right? Because it's through there that you build your brand, right? As you're finding out your niche, you're be able to describe what you do, and you get results. And that's when people begin to know who you are, and you build trust, and you build a following. So now you have an audience, ... Here comes Julie, here comes the strategists, that kind of thing. So because I think a lot of what we get, a lot of people that are automatically looking to use Erin's term, they're putting the cart before the horse. They're automatically thinking about building a digital course, but they've never once gotten results for anybody. So folks listening, let's start there. You came here because you want to help people. Get out there and help some people, right? And I also love that I heard you say it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It just needs to be live and out there and up and running. And also starting with a business assessment first before you go into a big investment into something like this and figuring out what direction you want to go. You got to really take a hard look at the business assessment. I love that. Super important.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really, really great insight. And man, there's a lot of great takeaways out of this interview. So I really want to thank you because you made this idea of technology and scaling, which are 2 topics that come up time and time again. You just made it seem comfortable, and I really want to acknowledge you for that. I bet you a lot of listeners would like to acknowledge you for doing that for them as well. So give us the deets. Where can people find you and potentially hook up with you for some help?
Yeah, well, I'm on lots of platforms, but my favorite social media platform is LinkedIn at this moment. I love the level of conversations that we have all the time, and I love that it's super business focused. But you can also find me at julieraichdieme.com, which is my website, and I'm on Facebook. I have a private Facebook group called Lucrative Digital Courses. You are welcome to join anytime. And I'm also on Instagram, and it's all at Julie Raich Dieme. It's a little bit complicated to spell, but it's just JulieRaichDieme. And yes, that is a French last name. I married somebody who has a French last name.
Well, when I saw your name, I thought I was going to be tasked to pronounce it because I'm in Canada, and people probably assume I know how to pronounce French last names, but I don't.
So I want to thank you for dropping the LinkedIn. Okay. Because a lot of people kind of giggle about it, but I will tell you, if you want to be viewed as a professional, that's where professionals are, is they're on LinkedIn, first of all. And I had an interview with somebody who, her entire business is around digital marketing. And she is saying that is the one platform where you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on your content without having to pay for it and without having to worry about some silly algorithm. So I think that's super duper. Yeah, it was really interesting. So thanks for dropping that. Just a little side.
You're welcome. I love it too because of that. I think people are readers on LinkedIn. They're watchers. They're really critical. And they're not just like out to give you a bunch of likes and like false comments or emojis on your stuff. In fact, the culture is almost like the opposite of that. So yeah, it's a
Oh,
great place to be.
oh, LinkedIn. Poor little
Mhm.
LinkedIn. Oh, well. Thank you so much, Julie. This has been really, really educational and inspiring in just a really kind of calm, cool, and collected sort of way. So I really want to thank you for your energy and all your insight and education for us.
Oh, well, I want to thank you guys too. It's been such a pleasure being on here. It's also been eye-opening for me because, you know, there's no amount of like interviewing that doesn't involve also eye-opening at the same time. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.